The
does
October
Christmas
9th
Eve.
regular council meeting to order.
Hey.
Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
I'm here.
Mr. Fury?
Here.
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Ms. McPherson?
Here.
Mr. Bellin?
Here.
Mr. Scafidi?
Here.
Mrs. Somber?
Okay. Please stand. Mr. Speedy is going to lead us in the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Father, we seek your guidance for the business that is before us. In planning for the future of the city of Twinsburg, give us vision. Guide us to make decisions that are not self-serving, but for the betterment of our community, so we can continue to move in a positive direction. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'd like to make a motion we approve the minutes of the September 25th meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Shannon, call the roll, please.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Ms. McPherson?
Yes.
Minutes are approved. Do we have any words or presentations tonight?
There are none.
Okay, any audience participation?
Yes, we have Sheila Williams.
I'm coming this way. If everybody can see.
Help me,
So
Route
I'm gonna do it just
91.
like this so the camera doesn't get us. I want to talk about.
You got you.
Oh, my goodness, okay. I want to talk about 91. I just want to briefly ask a few questions about it. As they are tearing it up, and I understand what's going on, so you have no beef with me with that.
You need your name and address, ma'am.
Sheila Williams. I don't have an address. Will it be open in December? Will the front entrance to Ethan's be open off of 91, sometime like the beginning of December? Because I think it's supposed to be open by December. Because that's a question that's coming to me, you know, because a lot of the residents are very cautious, because, you know, my average age is 80. They're very cautious about driving down Liberty because they have to hit the roundabout behind me. And they're afraid of Cannon Road. And so I keep telling them, go down Post. So, you know, I'm trying to be able to say to them at this point, if we stay on target, if we continue to move forward, hopefully maybe by the second week in December, it'll be open where they can access it. So, you know, if somebody could let me know as we progress. I know the weather
Sure.
dictates a lot of that.
The only thing we know right now is it will remain in effect into December. So what does into mean, the 2nd or the 30th? I don't know. Construction is so predictable, so it's, you know.
I'll be carrying my sign with me
I know, it's-
continuously.
Yeah, but it really could be weather depending. I mean, hopefully we have decent weather from now till December for a lot of different reasons, but if that's the case, then I would hope that by the middle of December it'll be open.
Okay. And then my second part, and I guess, David, you'll have to give me an answer, or Amy. I know that my development gave access rights to the back of the property, and we received compensation for that. And as we are trying to plan our 2019 budget, I'm trying to get clarification. Does the city or the state now own that portion of strip behind me, or do we still own it and we just were given payment to be able to access on it? Because they're tearing it up from the floor up, so.
Right, there's two different portions. One was, the wider portion was in order to have the construction access, and then once the construction's completed, there was a smaller portion which was appropriated to the city for the project that will permanently be appropriated. The other was just a payment for access, just an easement in order to get there.
Get to the property.
Right.
I need then for Amy's office or you or someone to give us a letter stating what is the city's and what is ours as we are working on our 2019 budget. And I will ask again that if they're going to cherry pick those trees, if they would take down it all, because we're going to have to go back up in there and do a great deal of work. And we're going to stay off the easement because that's the original problem here. But if they would clear it down, then we could just make it neat versus the trees slowly dying off while they're back there. Because even the disruption that we've had thus far, they were already 30-plus years old and looking bad, and they really look bad now. So that's just a request that I'm asking as a board member for the 43 residents that I represent. We need to know what is ours, that is our responsibility, and what is the city's. And if I could get something in writing, because that's been a question, I can have it at my meeting, and as we plan for improvements back there, because we did receive some money, but it's not nearly going to cover the cost once they're back there, because it's, I was just talking to Chris about some of the removal that they did, and it really, they're just coming in and out doing. And I'm sure that, you know, Orchard across the street may have the same complaint, because we're both right on the easement through no fault of our own. So if somebody could get back to me in writing with something, I'd appreciate it.
I'll have somebody from engineering get a hold of you to get you a map of that or a description in writing, so you have them.
Okay, that would be great, because if Amy was here tonight, I would have asked her. Okay, thank you so much. I'll be holding up my sign every now and then.
I thought the temporary road really worked out nice, Mrs. Williams.
Yeah, right.
I did. I
Did you
thought.
read my sign? OMG.
I saw your
Yes.
sign. But the new lane's pretty nice.
Anybody else?
There is none.
Okay, moving on. Council communication and committee reports. Mr. Barr. We'll start with you tonight.
Thank you very much, sir. More environmental commission news. So this Saturday, October 13th, is Community Cleanup Day, and it's also the Tinkers Watershed Cleanup Day. It's an entire event. It'll be held at the pavilion back by Parks and Rec and the Senior Center. We've got a motorcycle club, the Masons. They're going to be grilling hot dogs and hamburgers for everybody that participates. So after we clean up the city, we can all get something to eat. We're doing face painting and stuff for the kids. Kids can get community service hours. We'll have the forms up there to get those signed off. And Tinkers Creek Watershed passed out some really nice saplings, so if anybody's looking for some trees for their yard, they weren't these little dinky things. They were pretty good sized saplings and native species of trees.
Time. Time.
Oh, yeah, in the morning. Starts at 9 o'clock. We'll meet up at the Senior Center at 9 o'clock, and then it kicks off from there. And it's sort of an all-day event. I think it goes to about 3 p.m. We have a company called Moldboard Plastics here in Twinsburg that has requested to adopt this section of Highland Road. So Ms. Walker is working with engineering and some other people to kind of go about that. I know she reached out to Summit County to find out if we need their permission, and it doesn't appear as we do, or ODOT, so that we can probably move through with something here. They are actually going to work this weekend, and they're going to, from 9 to noon, do Highland. So the crew from Old Right Plastics, we want to give them a big shout out. The environment is very big to them. Ms. Walker actually gave me their mission statement, and it states that they demand a culture where all people accept accountability for their safety and for the safety of others. I want to be the most responsive, flexible, and customer-oriented supplier, especially packing in the industry. I want to deliver innovation in everything that we do. Create growth for future investment and sustainability. So I think adopting a road here in Twinsburg in their immediate area and taking care of it is a great way to look out for their neighbors. So we applaud their efforts. We'll have the CERT team out there. Thank you guys for volunteering again, and they'll keep us all safe. So this Saturday, October 13th, 9 to noon is the cleanup, Tinkers Creek Watershed afterwards. And Environmental Commission held their last meeting for the year, so our next meeting is until Tuesday, February 5th. So you wanted to listen to me ramble on about all this good stuff. And that is all I have for this evening, in the interest of brevity. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Bell.
Good evening. I attended a performance of Wizard of Oz put on by the Twinsburg Community Theater. I wanted to congratulate the cast and crew on another outstanding performance. It really was awesome. Next Golf Advisory Board meeting will be on Tuesday, November 27th, 6:30 p.m. right here in Council Chambers. The construction at Joanne Lila Place and Terrace Drive is almost complete. The landscaping is in, the grass is growing, and all the equipment has been removed. I want to thank the folks in the engineering department for seeing that through, and to thank the residents for their patience during that project. I know it was a long time coming for them. Construction within Corbett's Farm continues. There's work being done by Pulte with the city's oversights on several streets, including Corbett's Lane and Spring Ridge. I want to thank Amy Moore and Russ Rodick for seeing that through to completion, ensuring that Pulte gets things fixed properly for those residents. I know the residents do appreciate having somebody from the city kind of in their back, working on their behalf. And that's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Ms. McFerrin?
I have nothing.
Mr. Scafidi?
Thank you. Good evening. None of my committees have met, but the Board of Zoning Appeals will meet on October 24th. That's Wednesday at 6:30 right here in the council chambers. And the next Finance Committee meeting will be on October 23rd. That's a Tuesday. Before council meeting, we will be meeting at 5:30. Other than that, I did have a couple things. I just wanted to give a shout out to the company that's done the paving here on Ravenna Road. I had a resident, I happened to be in Dunkin' Donuts, and somebody came up to me and said, "Councilman, I just want to tell you that who's ever doing that Ravenna Road is doing a great job. You know, we're really pleased with it. It looks good," and they're very happy. So I just thought I'd pass that along to the motoring public as well as the departments, and also to Chris Campbell and his crew for what they're doing on the other stretch of Ravenna Road, because that's been a sore spot with a lot of, some of the residents, not a lot, but a few have asked me about that. Why are we stopping there at Idlewood? What's wrong with this section here? And so I try to explain to them the best I can with Amy's grants and so on and so forth, but that the service department will be taking care of the worst spots, and they're doing that. So thank you very much. It's much easier traveling there. We appreciate it. Other than that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Fury?
Thank you. I have not been to a meeting since our last council meeting. The next CIC meeting has been rescheduled for October 30th at 5:30 in the jury room. Mrs. Williams, I understand your pain with the intersection of Ethan's and 91. I do. But I will tell you that the section between Glenwood and Ethan's of 91 was was the worst stretch of road in the city, pothole-wise, bump-wise, quality of ride-wise. And the new lane that they've put in and the work that they've done is going to make that much better as we go through this transition to finish that 5 or 7 year project, how long we started on this. So I know that you're still unhappy with that intersection, but the smoothness of the ride on the new lane is significantly an upgrade to the city, in my opinion.
It's just the closure with the aging population I'm dealing with and concerns.
But that'll be a much smoother ride going south now.
I'll let you talk to
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's all I have right now.
Okay, my only committee that met was the ARB. They met on the 4th. They had 5 cases, and the biggest one is they're replacing and refacing signs at the BP at 91 and 480 of the BP 711 store. That's it. Thank you. Mayor.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Just a couple of things to announce. So we have finally fully opened the clubhouse and the restaurant. So Aaron and Moses is now fully operational. We've got about a week and a half under our belt to night operation. Well, actually almost 2 weeks tomorrow. Tomorrow lunches start. So I encourage residents to go out there and check it out. We continue to book events every week. But I want to invite everyone we're going to have a formal ribbon cutting on October 19th at 3:30. We'd ask everyone to show up around 3, and we'll officially do it at 3:30. So that is, that'll be in the paper next week. So if you're not writing this down, but it'll be advertised, but we encourage everyone to come out for the official ribbon cutting of the new clubhouse. I did attend the Community Relations Board meeting a week and a half ago, and actually had representations from from all areas. And, you know, one of the main things that was discussed is, you know, each year there's a community magazine that goes out once a year. And so all the municipality as well as the library and the chamber are looking at potentially a different option in that. So we'd like to continue to do something, but there was a discussion on the resources that are being spent from all the participants. If there's something that could be a little more specialized that would serve a lot of the purposes that that one did. So we'll, I guess, announce that if the decision gets finally made on that. A few things coming up. We've got the fire open house tomorrow night. So I know Chief probably mentioned that when he reports, but I encourage you to come out. It's a great event. We get, you know, I don't know, probably 2,000 people show up for that with a bunch of kids running around screaming, and it's a lot of fun. But it's a great way to engage with our fire department, kind of see their facilities, get to play with some of their training equipment. You know, we have a lot of vendors there that help support it, so I encourage everyone to come out. Even if you don't have kids, come out. It's a good night. We have our truck or treat, which is October 28th at our fitness center, which is also a very large event. If you don't like screaming kids, I'd encourage you not to come to that, but that one gets really crazy at our fitness center. But it's a lot of fun. We fill up the gym, and then the back is completely full of all different kinds of trucks from the city, and whether service department, fire, police. So we bring them all out for the kids to play on and see. A couple announcements we've got the community garden that is going to start wrapping up. So if you still have things in the community garden, I know in the next couple of weeks they'll probably be announcing a date that will be closed. So if you got any remaining plants or vegetables you need to get out of there, or any of your supplies that you're using, just go ahead and clean that up. A couple of things I just want to mention. I just want to congratulate our girls soccer team. Currently 14-0. They've won their conference and will definitely be heading to the state playoffs. But amazing year for them. It's been a long time, I think, since our girls soccer team has had this kind of record and this ability to go really deep into the playoffs this year. So everyone, you know, keep encouraging them and support them if you can. And then I was part of the homecoming parade this past weekend, so we had another successful, safe homecoming here in Twinsburg. But I just want to, it was, you know, unfortunate that we didn't win our homecoming game, but still was a good team. So, and then other than that, I just have a bunch of department head reports. So, Chief Noga, you want to start?
Good evening. I'll keep it brief as always. During the month of September, the City of Twinsburg Communications Center generated 2,621 calls for service among the Twinsburg Police and Fire Departments and the Reminderville Police and Fire Departments. The total for the year is 24,655 calls. Twinsburg police officers arrested or cited 328 suspects into court on 402 different counts. The arrest counts include all felony, misdemeanor, and traffic charges. Officers issued 180 written warnings and 3 parking citations. Officers investigated 31 traffic crashes, of which 6 were injury crashes, 10 were on private property, and none were fatal. And last thing I'd like to say is if anyone here runs into Lieutenant Tom Mason anytime this week, please feel free to wish him a happy half-century birthday, which is today. I'm sure he'll be pleased that I mentioned that. And that's all I have tonight.
Chief, I have one question. I had a resident in Corbett's Farm ask me, they had some cars parked in front of their home in front of a fire hydrant. What's the typical, is you know, first offense a ticket? Do we look for, like, how do we handle that in general?
So generally, in a situation like that, if someone would call, we would come out, we would try to locate whoever the car belongs to. Usually we're pretty good at that, and advise them to move the car.
Okay.
You know, if we find it a second time, that's a little bit different. That might involve some sort of citation.
Okay. Okay.
But,
Thank you.
they're free to call anytime, and and that as a reminder that if anyone's having special events at your residence, If you call us ahead for parking permission, that would be great. That way we know that you're there and you've got the parking permission for that time that you need it.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Good evening. For the month of September, the fire department responded to 217 calls. That brings us up to a total of 2120 for the year. That's about 2% ahead of last year's pace. Just two notable events I wanted to mention. One was Assistant Chief Basso's deployment to South Carolina during Hurricane Florence as part of a EMAC request. EMAC is the Emergency Management Assistance Compact, which all 50 states and most of the American territories are part of. And ultimately, he was requested by part of one of the emergency management people in South Carolina because of their knowledge of him and the fact that they've taken some classes together. And he was down there for 2 weeks helping essentially the number 3 guy in their public information operation during the course of the 2 weeks he was down there. He was the JIC manager, the Joint Information Center manager, and just did a lot of good work in helping keep the people of South Carolina informed during the course of that emergency. And during the course of his time there, came up with some innovative things that they're probably going to incorporate as part of their normal practices for emergency services, and helped prepare some public safety information, what's the word I'm looking for? Public service announcements that they'll probably be used into the future, because they also incorporated information for those who are deaf and have other communication impairment issues. So I'm just real proud of Steve for what he was able to accomplish, partly because of his drive and his interest and the work he's done to kind of perfect his skills in that regard, and partly due to the investment we've made in him over his career here in Twinsburg. So that worked out well. The other one is we have one of our medics as part of the Metro SWAT team, and he spent the better part of Saturday the 29th at Kent State during their open carry walk and demonstration as part of their team supporting their operation and trying to keep the officers safe and prepared to take care of them if something went wrong. In fire prevention, we completed 42 inspections during the course of the month. We also worked on 5 different fire investigations. We also had 15 hours of public education that contacted 62 different individuals. We also completed almost 450 hours of training, encompassing 138 different training events. Points of interest include the fact that all of the sirens continue to work properly as they were tested on October the 6th. Our hydrant flushing for the year is completed, and the list of hydrants that need work, repair, or replacement has been forwarded to Cleveland Water. And then, as the mayor mentioned, fire prevention open house is tomorrow night. We certainly want to, starts at 5:30 and goes till 8 o'clock. We want to just invite everyone to come out and visit.
We'll see you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Chris?
Good evening, Council. As Sam mentioned, the Service Department is out on Ravenna Road making some patches, and this is a mill and fill where it's not like a pothole. They actually mill out an area. They've done 455 feet so far. They've got several more areas marked out, and we're going to continue to do that work until the weather turns on us. So patches are coming out pretty good. They're flat, so that's going real well. Branch chipping, we ended September with 550 stops. October's is complete, and it was at 426 stops, so that number's coming down a little bit. As we've done the last 2 years, we're going to continue that program through November. So November will be our last trip around the city, and that'll start November 5th. And as always, we ask everybody to have their branches out by November 5th. So we'll be able to move on to winter operations then. Street sweeping, we're in the process of completing another round of street sweeping. We did help out engineering quite a bit with their the road program, the grinding program. We set the street sweeper up there. So did a lot of work with that, and so now they're on to the regular street sweeping. We want to complete that one more time before the bad weather hits. Again, storm area checks have gone well. In October, no obstructions or debris to remove, so we're in good shape there. And then the next program coming up is leaf collection, begins October 15th. And that's, if you remember, that's the program where we don't shut it down. Once we start, we go to the end of the year. So whenever people get the leaves out, we'll be there to pick them up. We've been working on another salt supplier. We did find somebody with salt. We're potentially going to order 1,000 tons. We've got 500 tons ordered. We're going to try to get another 500. It's a barge coming out of Egypt, and so it's a little bit over $100 a ton, but we're able to get a hold of that. So we're trying to stockpile as much of this salt as possible. With what we have in storage, the supply that we're going to get from CUE, which is probably less than what we asked for, and then this 1,000 tons, we should be around 6,000 tons. We look back and we're probably averaging around 7,000, 7,500 tons in a typical season. So we'll see how this goes. We'll continue to look for more salt. This supplier that we just located may be able to get another barge. If he does, then we'll be able to get more salt. So we may be okay. We're going to be, out of the gate, we're going to be real conservative with the salt. We're going to, try to stretch this stuff as much as we can. Got to keep the roads, got to keep them safe, but we're going to be conservative there. I just want to let you know that we are working on the Glenwood Preserve lift station, the fence around there. We looked at cleaning the fence up and having it painted, but I think we're going to change it out to a fiberglass fence. We're going to do the front of it initially to get it looking real nice, new gates and everything, and then we'll go from there. So
Thank you.
we'll make that look a little bit better. And then just another note, the microturbine at the wastewater plant still running really, really well, producing a lot of electricity, and the heat that it's producing we're using. So far the compressor's holding up real well, and that unit's running well. So doing good. And that's my report.
Thank you.
Chris, I do have one thing.
Yes.
When the hurricane was coming from the Carolinas and coming here it was going to hit us with all that water, and we were expecting the creeks to rise. I know we talked about, we had a complaint, Glenwood, about the creek.
Yes.
And at the time, I was told that there's some trees down there and there's a transmission in there and so on and so forth. We explained that we went through there in May and again in June, but I don't know if anybody's, I got a call again the other day with the same concern. I don't know if anybody's looked at that. I don't know if it's causing a restriction or not, or if you've had anybody in there, but
Yeah, in fact, I just talked to
along.
Service today, and they did go back in there after the last council meeting, and they did remove a small piece of debris that was not causing any kind of obstruction. They thought at the time that it was whatever item was being talked about. So we'll give it a look again, but we keep that creek open and running. I mean,
is there any plans to take out the transmission?
well, they thought that what they had taken out
Two
was
transmissions?
this. They thought it wasn't a transmission, so maybe they missed it. They took
Okay.
out something that they thought a resident might have mistaken as a
I'd asked that
transmission.
resident to help us pinpoint that, and was unable to get any, location.
Oh, they couldn't tell you where?
No. And I talked to Chris about that 3 weeks ago.
Well, you know, I mean, I know that as long as we look at it and make sure that the creek's open and that there's,
Absolutely.
you know, there's no flow restriction. The concern is that, you know, whatever's down is gonna, once the waters rise, it's gonna take off in the water and then create a dam effect, so.
Yeah. No, we're in good shape right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Larry, you report. All right.
Just a couple of brief updates tonight. An application's been submitted to the ARB on behalf of the city requesting a certificate of appropriateness for the demolition, to enable the demolition of the city-owned house at 9842 Darrow Road. That's the White House on Darrow Road by the water tower. You know, as part of that, we go through the house and try to document its condition relative to its historic stature. Over the years, that property's been subject to several different modifications, including additions to the front, to the rear, a garage on one side, and a new room on the other side. All these modifications were made before the city obtained ownership to that property, so it's, in essence, it's not our fault that, you know, it was done. But there's really no semblance of the original school building in what's there now. There are other problems with the property, that there is not any sanitary sewer available to the property, so even if we were to rehab it, we would have to deal with sanitary some way other than trying to connect it to sanitary sewer. So there are a number of problems with the property as it is. And because, you know, that's in a location where it's a convenient trailhead for Old Hickory Trail, and it's been proposed a number of times that that location be used for that purpose. That's the intent. We've submitted our information to the ARB, and we'll be at the next meeting. I believe that's the 18th. So we'll see how it goes, and I'll get back to you after the meeting. Also, the Twinsburg CIC, we've done all the due diligence and everything associated with 2573 and 2593 East Aurora Road, the former Lane properties. You know, we've eliminated the asbestos, we've discontinued the utilities and had salvage performed both by Habitat for Humanity and by the city. And the fire and police have had practices in those buildings, and we've provided EPA a 10-day notice to enable us to get in there now and start to remove the buildings. So the service department is going to take the lead on that, and they'll begin on Thursday of this week with removal of the roof shingles, and we'll move on next week after they get an excavator in to do the heavy demolition and site restoration. An update on our NOPEC Energized Community Grant. As was mentioned, the fire department's just about wrapping up their LED lighting at Station 1 and Station 2. The community center LED lighting upgrade, we've submitted an application to NOPEC for that, and that application has been approved. We're just pending clarification of some of the cost items in the proposal, and we'll get that, once we get those clarified, Derek will get the contractor mobilized and get that done. There'll be some funds remaining, anywhere from $7,000 to $9,000. And there was a consideration that would be applied to council chamber lighting improvements as part of the upgrade to council chambers. That scope and the cost are currently being defined, so as we get the more hard cost estimates for that, we'll be talking to you more about that. And that'll just about wrap up the $41,000 grant that we get from NOPEC. We're seeking additional funding for the Chamberlain Road repairs in support of O'Reilly's auto project. We'd received a $160,000 grant from the ODOT Transportation Improvement District funds. We had been also talking to ODOT about a Jobs and Commerce grant. I went back and opened up those discussions again because they seemed to be falling off. We're going to try and get another $100,000 through the Jobs and Commerce grant program for that. The total project cost is a little over $660,000. We will share that cost with Summit County. A little over 50% of the roadway is in Summit County, so they will share a little over 50% of the remaining costs. I'll keep you informed as we get through the Jobs and Commerce request. We're continuing to work with two companies that are looking at Twinsburg for their project. One's going to be a new building, hopefully. One would be a move into existing vacant space. Both of them are looking for incentives, so if we're successful, we'll be coming back to you with an incentive for those companies. The Ohio Economic Development Association Annual Summit is next week in Columbus, Ohio. We had originally scheduled a CIC meeting for the 16th, but that's been moved to the 30th, as was stated by Mr. Fury. So it will be, the CIC meeting will be on the 30th at 5:30 in the jury room. Summit County is going to do a workshop on the 15th for the Community Development Block Grant Program. We're eyeing this program to enable us to make improvements to the sidewalks at the senior center. This grant is to the benefit of low and moderate income persons or to specialized populations, disadvantaged populations like the elderly, blind, disabled, etc. So if you can think of any other projects, this is a competitive program, and we can submit basically anything that has a benefit to low and moderate income persons or special populations. So keep that in mind when you're out looking around the community. That's it for me.
Larry, quick question.
Yes.
The Chamberlain Road project. A
Yep.
few years back, you talked about really dressing up the entrance there
Right.
on Chamberlain and 82. Does this include any of that, or is this just the road improvements?
No, we were hoping to do a whole remake of Chamberlain Road, but it's just not going to be in the budget in the near future. It'd be a
Okay.
very expensive project because we're looking to go to 3 lanes with landscaping and, improve signage to make that a nice approach
Like
to.
to industrial and park
Yeah.
area, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Somebody down there have anything? Larry,
Yes.
I do have a question. The house at Post in 91. Is it possible that we can figure out what part of that house was the original one-room schoolhouse?
Yeah, it's easy to see what part was the original when you look at the foundation. If you come into my office, I can show you pictures of the whole thing inside and out.
I'm just wondering if, when we tear it down, if we can save the framing or something so that we can maybe build it put it back someplace else?
Yeah, what I suggested we might do, at least as a proposal to the ARB, is, that the building has stone foundation. On top of the stone foundation, they placed, not tile, but more recent block foundation
Masonry block,
for four stacks higher than the original foundation. So the building is raised at sometime in its history. But those original foundation stones are there. The hand-hewn timbers are in the basement. You can see them. I suggested perhaps we could salvage the timbers and the stone and use those in a trailhead gazebo or trailhead feature of some sort, or incorporated in the new facility, and maybe some structure improvement there.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Russ?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Before I get started, is there any questions in regards to Spring Ridge, or just go on to my report? All right, very good. In my office, we have had so far in 2018, we processed, plan reviewed 1,042 applications, which in turn is about 1,500 inspections. And to kind of demonstrate from 2017, we did 887, which in turns is 2181 inspections. Single family, it's only 3 this year, 45 last year. And our point of sale program is at 204 applications. As we measured last year, it was 208. The ordinance for the donation box, I spent the month of September touring the city and going to the private locations, providing them with the ordinance, an application, and right now just trying to start a communication line in regards to what the intent of the ordinance is all about, what they're supposed to be regulating, and how we're going to monitor it. So it's just an introduction to them. Nothing right now to say you got to move it. It's just an introduction. Our ordinance for our abandoned registration list for the month of October, we are at 11. And of those 3, we are grass cutting 3 of them. And with that, that's our third party. And when it comes down to the county to record on real estate, that's where that fee gets on to the tax. So it's covered. And actually, that will wrap up my report. Any questions?
I have a couple questions. On the donation boxes, when will it be more than just, when are we going to enforce it? I guess, do we have a target date that it's going to be enforced?
I'm going to see. I'll get their applications now, or email them, or I give them directly. Give it a couple months to see if they do come in. And of course, when they come in, there's a couple of them that do need screening. And a couple of them are actually behind the building, but at least the application still has to come in. So I haven't put a definite date on it yet, but I'm probably mark it down on the calendar when I'll follow up with them.
Okay, but it'll be sometime this year yet?
It's October, probably first of next year.
Okay.
Depending on the weather, because sometimes weather dictates.
Okay, the other thing is, I just need to clarify, on rental properties, am I correct in saying there are no inspections, no permits? I know there's no interior, but is there no exterior either when a new tenant moves in? We're hands off of
Do we have an
those.
ordinance, or we
I
don't
just-
have one now? No,
We do?
We don't.
Do not.
We don't.
No,
So,
we don't.
so there is no, well, that's what I'm saying. We have there's no inspections necessary, there's no permits necessary for rental properties
No, we have.
whatsoever.
No.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure of that.
Okay.
And then, Russ, I need to talk to you about Moreland Drive again, okay? And we went over there, I know you went over there, I went over there. That empty lot, there's trees falling from that lot onto that residential property. I understand that whatever fell, I'm assuming, from what I hear, is his responsibility to remove off of his property. That has nothing to do with the vacant lot property owner. Is that correct?
That's how I explain to people where it falls from, but where it lands, it's their responsibility.
It's their responsibility. So they have no recourse onto that vacant land. I mean, we know who owns it, but there's no recourse there then, right?
No, if you ever check the tax map, they're in the red in the taxes on that property. So,
Okay.
there's no recourse.
And I would like to ask that you talked about properties that we cut and then we put it on their taxes through the county. I would like to ask that we put that property, that vacant property, on that list and cut back all that stuff that's over the sidewalk. I took pictures of it. I've been out there several times now. I get several calls.
So we're still talking Moreland?
We're still talking Moreland. There's growth coming off of that lot, and I could show you the pictures. There's about this much sidewalk left there, okay? And the tree grass, although sometimes it's cut, it's being cut by the residents that's complaining because he can't stand to look at it anymore. So I would like to put that on our list. Let's hire somebody, whoever you use, to cut that property and trim those bushes back or trees back so they can use that sidewalk and walk through there. And then we'll just put it on the tax duplicate of that vacant land. I mean, I don't know what else to do with it.
I did talk to my party who does grass cutting. He gave me a quote to cut that back. And I was going to go ahead and have him do it before I sent him out there. I went back there, it was trimmed back at that time, which was about a month ago. So I was aware of that. I did have a quote for it to be done, but I understand. I talked to the neighbor. He said he hired somebody. I said, please, if I don't get out there, let me know. I'll come out there and check, and I'll have mine. So I'm trying to be ahead of this, but
Okay.
if it continues, yeah, we still got the growing season to go through.
Well, I took pictures as recent as today, and there's not very much sidewalk exposed there because of the growth that's coming off of that property.
All right.
So if there's anything, if you can add that to our list, I would appreciate it. Okay? And then one thing I do want to say is what?
So do we have to notify the owner of that property that if they don't do something, that we're taking this over and then we're going to be billing them? Do we have to notify them, or?
Well, the abandoned registration list instructs them they're supposed to be maintaining their property.
Mhm.
Instead of trying to fight with a third party out of state, they must, because they sometimes have a program set up, but it's like once a month, maybe less, maybe once every 2 weeks, which is not enough time because grass grows. So they don't really have, we never had an issue
Mhm.
going out there. We cut it and we just bill them, and it's never been an issue before.
Thank you.
The last thing, I just want to, again, I sent you an email, but I want to thank you for Masaros Plaza. It looks much better than it did. It was really, really run down. And just the trash alone, there was trash all over the place. That plaza did not belong in Twinsburg the way it looked. Those garbage cans were always constantly overflowing from Sassy's all the way down to Titan's Gym, okay? And somehow Dollar General gets away with putting everything in their store on the sidewalks every single day. I don't know how that's legal, but I guess it is, because or else we'd be making them put it back inside. I mean, they have a sidewalk sale there every single day. And it just, the plaza looks terrible. It just does. But since we spoke last, they've cleaned it up, and I think it's still cleaned up a little bit, but some of the fascia on that building needs to be taken care of, and I understand pretty soon we're going to have another vacant store there, so it's a shame, but they need to take care of that.
They do monitor that. They go out there 4 times, and they told me about the issues, people off-site bringing their disposables there. So
It's the way it goes.
I mean,
You know, they own the plaza. I know, that's probably is the truth. I mean, and the back end is not a whole lot better. Last time I was back in the back of that plaza, there was a man pulled in like the boss, man. He pulled in with his pickup truck full of shrubs, stopped that truck and started dumping everything in the creek, okay? I went back to him and I says, what are you doing? I wouldn't do that if I were you. He says, he looks at me, he goes, why not? I says, because you're dumping them in a creek. He goes, so? He says they'll decay and they'll go away. I says, you can't do that. Trust me when I tell you can't do that. And so he kind of looked at me and he went and grabbed everything that he had. I took a picture, I have his license plate, I have his truck number, I have everything. But he's not the only one dumping there. Everybody's dumping back there. You know, I don't know what the answer is, but that's going right in that creek between the condos and the plaza. So there is some mess over there, and I would hope that we could monitor that a little better over there. I'd appreciate it. But thanks for what you've done so far.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Going around the fence?
No, there's no fence. You could pull in right behind the restaurant.
No, there's a fence that runs all the way along the back of that building.
And that,
No, sir, not when you get here. I'm telling you, I was there. It was going right in the creek.
Yeah,
I saw the water.
I was with them. There's no fence.
Yeah, there's no fence. It's
maybe we
by
should have them.
the condos, there's a fence, but right past there, there's no fence.
Yeah, you get down a little further.
Those bushes
So
go
maybe-
right in that creek.
Could you have
Yeah,
them,
I mean,
them
if they're-
responsible?
I'm just asking, I thought there was a fence line that ran almost most of the end. I know it's behind rush hour,
Mm-hmm.
so they're gonna stop short and they're
Yeah,
going behind.
He was going behind, it was past rush hour.
Get down more by like El Campus.
No, not that far.
It was closer up.
Yeah.
All right.
But he pulled in like he owned the place. That's our dump ground. What do you mean? We can't dump here. We always dump here. It's like, you
So
can't.
Could you have the plaza have to put a fence to avoid that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what we can do. Maybe. That's probably a thought. But I just thought I'd mention it.
All right.
Thank you.
And signs, no dumping?
Yeah, no
All right.
signs.
Thank you.
You know.
Nobody pop them.
Mm-hmm.
Stop.
Sarah, anything tonight?
Sure. Good evening.
Good evening.
We've got operating and capital budgets for Parks and Rec Fitness Center and Glen Eagles will be discussed at the next Finance Committee meeting on October 23rd. We're running for budget for 2018 through the third quarter. We're at 75%, so we're right on track. Interest earnings through the third quarter are at $145,000. That's up 25 grand from last year, so we're still running about 20% increase. And then finance, we're going to be hiring an accountant for payroll. So if anybody's interested, please go online and apply at the city's website. Thank you.
Another body.
That is all I have this evening.
Okay, let's move on to legislation. First ordinance is 95, 2018, Shannon.
An ordinance authorizing the purchase of a John Deere tractor and mower for use by the service department.
I'd like to make a motion that we add our standard emergency clause to this. Chris would like to,
You have to get a motion to adopt, and then you can amend.
a motion to adopt.
I'll second his motion.
Thank you. Okay, then I'd like to amend, we need to vote on the motion, right? Not yet. Okay.
Yes.
Then I'd like to make a motion that we amend the ordinance to add our standard emergency clause so that we can order the tractor as quickly as possible.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Bellin seconds. Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Ordinance 9,
It's the emergency.
I can do the emergency clause. Okay.
You're going to make a motion to adopt as amended.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt ordinance 95, 2018 as amended. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr. Bellin seconds.
As an emergency, correct?
Yes.
This is an emergency.
So you're going to place it on its third and final reading and declare it emergency.
It's on its third reading.
It's on the third reading.
No, it's on its first reading, you just added the emergency clause.
All right. We're going to place it on its third and final reading
It's, yeah.
and declare an emergency. There you go. Okay.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Now adoption. Okay. And I'd like to adopt ordinance 95, 2018.
I'll second.
Mr. Scafidi seconds. Shannon, call the roll, please.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 95, 2018 passes with an emergency 7-0.
6.
Or 6-0, excuse me. Shannon, ordinance number 101, 2018.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the general revenue account as established in ordinance 101, the appropriation ordinance for the city of Twinsburg for the year 2018.
That's its first reading. Ordinance 102, 2018.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the general revenue accounts as established in ordinance 101, 2017, the appropriation ordinance for the city of Twinsburg for the year 2018.
That's its first reading. Ordinance 103, 2018.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the general revenue account as established in ordinance 101, 2017, the appropriation ordinance for the city of Twinsburg for the year 2018, and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to make a motion to put ordinance 103, 2018 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. May I have a second?
No, second.
Mr. Fury seconds. The reason we want to, the emergency is we need to transfer money and take care of
To pay
county
the
issues.
contractor, sure.
Okay. Shannon, call the roll, please.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, the emergency passes 6-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 103, 2018. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Scafidi seconds.
This is an ordinance to accept $14,000 towards a lighting grant that was used in the fire department. The cost to the city is about $4,000.
Okay, Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Ordinance passes 6-0. Okay, Resolution 104, 2018.
A resolution authorizing the advancement of local taxes from the Summit County Fiscal Officer for the tax year 2018 payable in 2019 in accordance with ORC Section 321.34.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 104, 2018. Is there a second?
A second.
Mr. Barr seconds. Shannon, call the roll.
You gotta have discussion.
Any discussion?
This is an annual and standard clause that we do so that we can collect property tax throughout the year and not wait till it's dispersed twice a year as we pay it. Thank you.
Okay, Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 104, 2018 passes 6-0. Move on to unfinished business, new business, miscellaneous business. Mr. Barr.
I'll get to start twice in a row, all right. Just one thing, I know the mayor mentioned earlier that Aaron and Moses has been open for a little over a week. I've been up there on several occasions with my family and everything. The staff up there is just doing a phenomenal job. So I just wanted to say on record that we got some really tremendous people up there. They're really putting their heart and soul into it. I know I appreciate it, not only as a resident, but as a fellow employee of the city. And Sarah Cargo, their general manager, I think she worked about 30 days in a row without a day off to make sure the opening went off without a hitch. And I wish we had more people like her. So I just wanted to say hats off to them and wish everybody up there the best. That is all I have.
Mr. Bellin.
Nothing this evening, thank you.
I would have to, oh, thank you, sorry. Add to what Mr. Barr shared, that Aaron and Moses, I mean, it's the best view in town, good place to watch the game on Sunday. And I believe we're still hiring, right? So look at the website for if you have anyone looking for a position, particularly some of the younger people in our community. Students.
Mr. Scafidi. Thank you. I have one thing. I would like to make a motion. I talked earlier about scheduling a work session to just go over the council rules. So I'd like to make a motion that we have that work session on October 30th. I thought we'd schedule it at 6:30.
We have a CIC at 5:30.
That's at 5:30, so that's why I'm putting it at 6:30.
Thank
Because
you.
I know there's 3 of you on there, so just so give everybody an opportunity to be at the meeting. So we'll make it that October 30th, that's a Tuesday, right here at 6:30.
A second.
Okay. Any questions? Any comments? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
And that's all I have, thank you. Mr. Fury.
The state playoffs for golf were at Windmill Lakes last Monday, and Twinsburg resident Colton Levy came in second, shooting a 74. He had a hole-in-one on the 8th hole, which was his 8th hole-in-one, and he's a junior in high school.
Oh, my.
That's awesome.
So he was going to districts with his team, which was Walsh. Also from Twinsburg, Blaze Tanner was finished as an individual. The team didn't make it, but he moved on to Pine Hills yesterday for the districts. He unfortunately did not make it through the cut to get to state, but Colton will be going down to state to the Scarlet Course at Ohio State for the Division I championship the 19th and 20th. So Colton's been an outstanding golfer since he was 6. He's been, nationally ranked, but I just like one hole-in-one. My kid would like one hole-in-one. My dad has
Most of
one.
us would like one.
I would like a hole-in-one. Also, I spent the weekend at Ohio Northern with the John Carroll golf team. And this weekend, Nolan Laughlin, who is the son of Brian Laughlin, one of our firefighters, won the OAC championship for John Carroll, shooting a 71 at a course he had never seen before. Lousy weather, 20 miles an hour wind. It rained out Friday, and John Carroll, where my son plays, also is a senior. They won the OAC fall championship for the first time in 15 years for the school, and it's been since 2010 since Otterbein has not won it. So the evil empire fell. John Carroll came up, and Nolan was the star. So it was really a nice day, and that's my golf update for the amateurs for this week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have nothing. Let's move on to, oh, Mayor, I'm sorry.
That's all right, I'm done this evening also.
Okay.
He wants a
Mr.
whole
Maestro.
meeting too.
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Shannon?
Nothing.
Sue? Nothing, okay. Like to make a motion that we excuse Ms. McFerrin, or not Ms. Mrs. Stoffer.
Second.
Excuse her absence tonight. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bellin, seconds. Shannon?
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Ms. McFerrin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Okay. Pass 6-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to enter into executive session to discuss matters pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 121.22 G2, land acquisition. We will reconfirm after the executive session and report.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Can we just do that every time?